25th of January, we have the first full moon of 2024 happening in the sign of Leo, and this one is looking dramatic. Hi everyone and welcome back to Bonnie Astrology. Today we're looking at the full moon in Leo happening on the 25th of January and what it means for your zodiac sign. As always, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for regular astrology updates. You can also follow me on my socials down below, and if you want to book any kind of astrological service with me, the information listed in the description is the only place that you can get me. So the full moon on the 25th is set to be pretty dramatic. Full moons are times of peak emotional experience. Emotions are running high and there is illumination cast on various themes of our life depending on where it falls in our chart, but also depending on the sign that the full moon is occurring in. So this full moon is happening in the sign of Leo. Leo is the fixed fire sign of the zodiac and loves to bring entertainment, flair, romance, creativity, and puts themes of leadership, royalty, monarchy, and those in entertainment into the spotlight. So when we have a full moon in Leo, we're likely to feel a lot more playful. We're more likely to let our inner child shine. There is a greater desire to take center stage and to want to be seen for the talents that we possess, to want to show off, so to speak. Now this full moon is looking really quite dramatic because it is forming a square to benevolent and joyous Jupiter in Taurus. So this full moon forming a square to Jupiter in Taurus means that we have the potential to overdo it because Jupiter is big, expansive energy. And as the full moon is happening in the sign of Leo, which loves a party, this may mean that if you're attending a party, you might overdrink, overeat, you might make a scene with Leo being so dramatic and showy. You might also find that your emotions are running that little bit higher than usual. You may feel as though something is a bigger deal than it is, and usually that is because there is something lying below the surface that has not been addressed. A lot of the time when we have big emotional reactions that seem like an overreaction, it's rarely solely to do with the thing that we are reacting to. Now this full moon is also going to be opposite underworld lord Pluto recently in Aquarius, and this means that we may be facing a little bit of our shadow side. So as I say, if you have a big emotional reaction, you only have to scratch below the surface to see that potentially this is related to something else. It may be related to a fear, it may be related to an obsession, it may be related to something lurking within your shadow that you've not yet looked at, with Pluto being recently in Aquarius. So now that Pluto is in Aquarius, this is bringing huge changes to the Aquarius part of our chart, but this is also bringing changes to the way that we view society, social issues, protests, the power of the people, revolution, rebellion, space, humanitarianism, technology, science. All these themes are going to be in the spotlight very much while Pluto is going through Aquarius for the next 20 years, because Pluto tends to expose and Pluto tends to bring significant change and transformation. So these are areas that are up for a little bit of exposure. Maybe some secrets come out about the charity sector. This could be great technological advancements. This could be discoveries in space, because the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius, Uranus, which rules Aquarius in the modern day astrology, was actually discovered. So this can be great advancements when it comes to space, our planets, technology, science. But for us personally, wherever Pluto transits in our chart can often have us looking at the shadow, what has not been addressed, what we have buried, what we have hidden from ourselves. And it can also have us facing power struggles and power dynamics within that sector. So for example, if you are an Aries rising, Pluto now going through your 11th house may mean that while you could potentially attract very powerful and influential friends into your social network, you may also run into power struggles with friends you've had for a very long time. You may find them controlling, you may find them obsessive, or you may find yourself getting involved in groups that turn that way. So Pluto tends to bring a power struggle to where it transits, but it can also bring some exposure, and it can also bring some power and influence as well. So this full moon, because it's in the sign of Leo, is going to be casting a spotlight onto our leadership. Now, this has been a big theme of January in general, with Pluto shifting out of Capricorn. Until the 20th, Pluto was at the anaretic crisis degree of Capricorn, and Capricorn represents our structures, our organizations, governments, leaders within government. And as Pluto shifted into Aquarius, it formed its conjunction to the Sun, which is an annual event astrologically, but it was at the crisis degree of Capricorn, which means that there may be further exposures, there may be secrets coming out when it comes to leaderships and those in positions of power. The full moon in Leo does cast a spotlight onto people in positions of power, particularly the monarchy, which is going to be a wider theme of the Pluto and Aquarius transit. Pluto going through Aquarius, the last time that this happened coincided with the French Revolution. And while events don't necessarily repeat, they do rhyme whenever Pluto goes through a sign, as it is such a rare event. And with this opposing the full moon in Leo, there may be certain things coming out about the monarchy, there may be certain things coming out about royalty in general. Obviously this month we had a coronation in Denmark, new leadership taking over there in that monarchy because of an abdication, which is very true to form with the Pluto-Sun conjunction. But we've also had news about the health struggles of both the Princess of Wales and the King of England. So these can be themes that come out in under a full moon in Leo. So a lot of these themes are already presenting themselves. But if we look at the Sabian symbol for the full moon in Leo happening at 5 degrees, this one's interesting because it represents the impermanence of values, how our values shift from generation to generation. And with Pluto moving into Aquarius, Pluto being a very generational planet, which Pluto transits do tend to coincide with various generations. So for example, the Pluto in Scorpio generation is known as the millennials. Gen Z is the Pluto in Sagittarius generation. And so with Pluto shifting signs, a very significant cosmic event, we may find that our values are starting to shift in different directions. We're starting to change what we think matters, what we think is moral, and what we think is correct. And these type of changes can be very unnerving. They can be fearful for some people that are very used to things being a certain way, but it is part of the Pluto transit. Pluto tends to drum up a bit of fear, a bit of paranoia, a bit of suspicion, but it can just as equally expose and cause controversy. So with Pluto going into Aquarius, we may find that we are suddenly feeling a little bit different about certain issues. Of course, another theme about Pluto going through Aquarius and being in opposition to this full moon is that when it comes to any exposure or illumination of leaders, of people in positions of power, of people in positions of authority, the reaction from the public may be outrage. It may be a public outcry. There may be more protests, there may be more rebellions, people gathering together to bring back the power to the people in opposition to perhaps decisions or perhaps exposures when it comes to people in positions of power. Pluto in Aquarius does tend to coincide with revolutions, as I mentioned, the French Revolution. And while that might not necessarily be something that happens under this full moon, it may show you a bit of a theme of what is to come with Pluto transiting Aquarius, whereby after exposure of Pluto and Capricorn to governments, to leaders, to systems, to structures, and what is not working within them, the people are more determined to take back their power, they're more determined to have say, they're more determined to gather together to protest what they think is not right, which is again suggestive of this impermanence of values Sabian symbol 5 degrees of Leo. Well, 6 degrees because you round up with Sabian symbols. But these are themes that are coming up under this full moon collectively. Now, for us individually, the full moon in Leo represents what is in our heart. With full moons, they tend to expose, they tend to bring our emotions to the surface. And in the day-to-day hustle and bustle and as being part of a group or being as part of society, sometimes we can neglect what is on our heart truly. Sometimes we can find ourselves a little bit disconnected with what we truly want, what we truly need, and what we truly feel. So with this full moon being in the sign of Leo, you may notice your strengths. You may be more aware of your strengths, as Leo in tarot is the strength card, or that is the card in tarot that represents Leo. You may be more in tune with what it is that you love, what it is that you love to do. You may be more inclined to show your talents, particularly if they're creative. Even if you're quite shy, this full moon is a very extroverted one. And so if you want to sing, you may find yourself more prone to attending the karaoke function. If you want to dance, you may find yourself more likely to attend the ecstatic dance ceremony. You may just be more inclined to want to share your talents, but also to share what's on your heart because you're more aware of what that is. So this is a great full moon to listen to your heart. Because it's square to Jupiter, this could be quite messy, but bear in mind the heart is full of complicated emotions and emotions can be quite messy. This can be a beautiful time to channel your emotions into something creative, to write a song, even if it sucks. To write a song, even if it sucks. To dance, even if you're not a dancer. You don't have to be perfect at it. You just have to be able to express yourself creatively. And everyone has some kind of creative talent. There must be some kind of creative bone in your body, something that you were good at as a child, something that makes you feel like you're operating from your heart space, something that you love to do, something that honors your inner child with the full moon being in Leo. We don't always get to choose what we feel. We certainly get to choose how we react, but there is no point suppressing or denying your feelings because they are only going to erupt in a messier way. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this can absolutely bring emotional overreactions, and the opposition to Pluto is making me think that perhaps there's something deeper to be investigated under this full moon itself. Now, in December, Mars is going to go retrograde in Leo, and it's going to be retrograding quite close to this degree. So if you pay attention around this full moon, there may be some themes that actually come up that repeat in December, something that you're going to be going over again, something that you're going to be addressing. There is some cosmic resonance between this full moon and December 2024. So you may want to keep a journal, you may want to notice and note some themes that are coming up for you under this full moon in particular. So I'm going to pull a tarot card for this full moon in Leo and see what comes up before we get into the individual zodiac signs. The timestamps for those are listed below if you want to click ahead, but I'm just going to pull a card for this full moon in Leo. Judgment, interesting. This is very Plutonian. Judgment is associated with Pluto, and we actually have the Death card underneath. So I do think with the opposition to Pluto, it has some significance to this full moon, obviously, as Pluto has just recently returned to Aquarius. And the Judgment card is usually about truths coming to light. It is a day of reckoning, the Judgment Day card. It is a time where secrets may become more apparent to you. You might learn something you didn't know. You might find yourself facing some hidden truths about yourself or about someone else or about something else. But it's important to let these come to light. It's important to acknowledge them, not suppress them, not bury them, because they will just be pushed down into your unconscious and then they'll start sabotaging your life without you realizing it. It's quite hard to dig through patterns and to break patterns if you're not aware that they're there. So if you find yourself feeling something under this full moon, the key is to feel it, to heal it, to change it, to transform it. This is a great time of transformation with the recent return of Pluto to Aquarius, because this Aquarius season in general is actually going to be the first one in our lifetimes where we have the co-presence of Pluto. Because if you think back to 2023, when Pluto did its short stint in Aquarius, it was from March until July. It didn't coincide with Aquarius season. So there may be some significant truths coming to light in your Aquarius house, and we will get into that for each of the zodiac signs, but just be aware that there may be something that requires radical honesty. You know, Pluto is about authenticity. It's about being true to yourself in a way that you cannot deny because it is so embodied by your soul. It is something that your soul feels so deeply that you cannot override it for too long, lest you make yourself unwell. And Aquarius is a very radical, revolutionary energy. So this is calling for radical honesty with the Judgment card. Some things have to come up for them to be acknowledged, for them to be changed, because that's how true change occurs. It starts from a place of honesty. So let's get into what this means for each of the individual zodiac signs. The timestamps are listed below. As always, I do suggest that you watch your ascendant sign for the most accurate astrological predictions, but I will not hold it against you if you watch your sun or your moon, and I will be pulling a tarot card for each of the individual zodiac signs, so you can actually watch all three to get additional messaging. As always, if you do want to book a reading with me, the information listed in the description is the only place you can get me. I may take a little while to reply, I cannot lie. I am not the most prompt replier, but I am taking bookings for February and March. Not in March. I'll be taking bookings for February and March. So if you have emailed me, you will be hearing back from me shortly. But let's get into the horoscopes portion of this video. I hope you'll have a beautiful full moon. Let your inner child shine, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to the full moon in your sign. So you're officially the star of the show. You're center stage. At the time of this full moon, Leo, you're likely to be more visible. You're likely to be more noticed. You're likely to be standing out for who you are and what you bring to the table. The full moon is a time of self for you. It's your relationship to your image, your physical body, your personal wants and desires, and taking independent action. and what it is that you want for yourself and also who you are. It's where you take action before somebody else does, effectively. So this full moon is really pulling your energy inward to look at what it is that you want for yourself, what it is that you'd like to do, where you want to take action. And you may at the time of this full moon have a little bit more sense of self-control. You may feel like you are the steerer of your ship, so to speak. Be a time when you are changing up your image or your style. You might find yourself getting your hair done, getting it cut, getting it colored, trying out a new style. You may find yourself investing in new items for your wardrobe, new clothes, new accessories, new shoes. As you are the sign of the lion, I feel for a lot of you it is probably to do with your hair. It's probably that you're maybe getting your hair cut, colored, styled, or investing in new hair care products. And you may be finding that you're wanting to boldly take action on something and you're maybe feeling quite confident about it, Leo. Maybe a little too confident, I will warn you, because the square to Jupiter in your 10th may mean that you feel kind of cocky, you feel kind of bold, you feel kind of like you can do anything, perhaps, with this full moon being in your sign. And that's not to say that you should not feel confident. That's not to say that you shouldn't feel bold. You absolutely should. But just be mindful that you may take it to extremes, because this full moon is having all of us overdoing it in some area of our lives. Now, with Jupiter going through your 10th house, this can be a time where you have more public exposure. You're likely to have a wider reach, so to speak, maybe even depending on what you do, a global reach. Say you're on social media for your career, you may find yourself getting more followers in different countries. Say you are working for a global firm, you may find yourself being recommended to people in other offices, in other jurisdictions, in other countries. But you may also just find yourself catching the eye of famous folk or celebrities or people in positions of power with Jupiter going through your 10th. You may be more popular than you usually would be, and that's not to say again that you're not popular, but you can have a wider reach with Jupiter. Jupiter just expands what is already there. So say you find yourself quite popular in your particular field, you can absolutely increase it with Jupiter going through your 10th house. And perhaps this public popularity or this exposure to people in positions of power is maybe making you feel a little bit more confident, and you're considering changing up your style or your aesthetic as a result. Maybe you're more conscious of how you look, maybe you're more conscious of your style. Or maybe it's inspiring you to take a more independent action in your career. Maybe it's inspiring you to bring more of yourself to your career and to be more visible, to be more front and center. Now, the opposition is happening to Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto entered Aquarius on the 20th of January, and for you, this is going to be a 20-year cycle of deep, profound change when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your partnerships. Now, if you do not have anything at 0, 1, 2 degrees of Leo or Aquarius in your chart, you may not be feeling this right away. But Pluto entering your relationship sector means that if you're single, you can meet people who are Plutonian in nature, people who are intense, people who are passionate, people who are sometimes, in a worst case scenario, very obsessive and jealous and maybe controlling. Best case scenario, they can be very self-aware. They can be someone who changes themselves inside out, very self-accountable, someone who's very powerful, maybe very in charge of themselves, and someone who's maybe quite seductive. You may find yourself attracting more Scorpiophonic type people, or people that have Pluto on the angles. If you know astrology very well, you'll know what that means, but it basically means that if you might attract people who have Pluto conjunct ascendant, Pluto conjunct midheaven, or it could just be that you attract people with Scorpio in their big three. But if you are in a relationship, it means that you're perhaps undergoing a period of change, profound change as to what it is that you want from your relationship, your marriage, your partner, or perhaps your partner is going through a period of profound change in their life, and that is inadvertently affecting you as well, Leo. But this is absolutely a time to be seen. It's absolutely a time to get in touch with what it is that you want to do, how you want to be perceived, how you want to take bold action forward, Leo, and where you want to make a move before anybody else does. So you have control over your life. We have the Hermit. So the Hermit is suggesting to you, Leo, that perhaps you want to do a little bit of self-exploration. You want to look internally and see what's going on with you. Maybe you want to do a little bit of soul digging, a little bit of soul searching. Maybe you want to carve out some time for yourself to reflect on what it is that you want to do going forward, Leo, and bring yourself back to center so that you know what type of action that you would like to take, or what it is that you would like for yourself in general. But that is what I have for you, Leo, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Virgo, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Virgo, while this is quite an extroverted and dramatic full moon for many, for you this is more about what is hidden. This may be a time when you would like to take some time to yourself. You would like to retreat from others. You would like to spend more time in bed, more time dreaming, more time sleeping. You might feel a little bit more introverted than usual, even if you're someone who is very outgoing. You may want to carve out some time for yourself. Some of you may also, I will not lie, be feeling a little unwell under this full moon. Sometimes full moons in the 12 coincide with being ill or feeling sick and needing to take a little bit of time to rest and recharge because your body is telling you something, Virgo. And what your body is telling you is going to be very important for the next 20 years, with Pluto having recently entered your 6th house. But to just pull the focus back to this full moon, this is about what's hidden. It's about illness. It's about psychic matters, being alone, retreating. What is buried, psychic or intuitive knowledge. You may find yourself spending time in hospitals or feeling a little bit lost and confused or having more vivid dreams. Now, none of those are to scare you. Some of those are very rare case scenarios, but they're what comes up in the 12th house. You know, say that a hospital appears under your full moon, you could be visiting somebody or you could be working there and there could be something going on with your building. But for the most part, I think for a lot of you, the way this is likely to play out is just wanting some time alone, wanting some time to retreat, and maybe even for some of you, planning a foreign or even taking a foreign trip, solo potentially. This full moon is in a square to Jupiter transiting your 9th house. And when Jupiter transits the 9th house, it means that the areas that expand and grow for you, the areas that you learn the most from, the areas where you may notice the most blessings in your life come from foreign trips, come from foreign locations, traveling, global affairs, your higher education, higher knowledge, legal affairs. So these might be areas that are benefiting you at this time. Perhaps some of you are feeling inspired to take a trip that is really quite far away, somewhere that is maybe overseas, somewhere that feels like a culture shock to you, somewhere that feels very different to where you usually are. But for others of you, this could be a very spiritual full moon where maybe you're going on some kind of retreat with a group of people that are quite spiritual. Maybe you're doing ayahuasca, maybe you are doing a shamanic journeying retreat, a breathwork retreat, whatever it is, it feels like a lot of you could be doing something quite spiritual. And because Jupiter's been transiting your 9th, maybe this is because you're undergoing a period of growth where your higher awareness is shifting, where you're more aware of different religions, different belief systems, and you're probably trying a few different hats on under this transit. But this full moon is in opposition to Pluto having recently entered your 6th house. Now, Pluto going through the 6th house can be a time, and is likely to be a time. Bear in mind, this is a 20-year cycle, so it may not be immediately clear. But this is probably a time when you're going to significantly change what you eat, what you do for exercise, what your daily routine looks like. These are things that are likely to undergo intense periods of change at some point during this cycle. And this full moon may be suggesting to you, nudging you in a direction, Virgo, of what it is that you do need to change when it comes to your diet, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your exercise. And when I say diet, I more mean nutrition. What it is that is good for you to eat, what your body reacts well to. Maybe you're getting your allergies tested, your intolerances tested. Maybe you're feeling a call to go vegetarian. Maybe you're feeling a call to go vegan. Maybe you're feeling a call to eat more fat. Whatever it is that is changing for you, because it can happen in a multitude of different ways. Whatever it is that is changing for you, maybe you're feeling more of a call to make a significant health change that is going to directly impact your mental health and well-being. That can actually be that perhaps you're cutting out caffeine. That can be perhaps you're cutting out dairy. Whatever it is, Virgo, it is completely personal to you, but those are just examples of how this can play out. The 12th house is a place of letting go. So when we have a full moon in the 12th house, this can be something that you're doing, and you may be letting go of something that you do or ingest or eat or use in your everyday life for better mental health, better well-being, and maybe better soul health, better intuition, better psychic awareness. Maybe for some of you, you're deciding you really want to filter your water. Maybe for some of you, you're realizing, as I say, you don't want to drink caffeine because it makes you very anxious. These are all things that could be coming up for you at this time, Virgo. So let's get you a card and see what is, oh, yep, 7 of Cups right off the bat. If you're feeling a little bit confused, Virgo, you have many options and many things to consider. You don't have to make a big decision right away. What I would say is wait until you're intuitively clear, and sometimes that can take a little bit of time. You don't need to rush any decisions. This full moon is more about being in touch with your intuition, being more in touch with your emotions for you. So I would say if you have a really strong intuitive pull in a direction, it's probably the right one for you. But I would also say that if you're not feeling that awareness, or you're feeling a little bit confused, do wait until the dust settles, because if you make a decision from a very confused place, you may get very confused results. So you may intuitively have a hunch of what you need to do, and you may not. And if you do not, I would say wait it out a little bit. So that is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Libra, this full moon is actually happening in a very social house for you. So I think the odds are quite high that there is something going on when it comes to a team or a group or your friends. If it's a team or a group, it's a team or a group that you're a part of, and something may be happening within your friendship circle. So this might be a time when you're doing some networking, or this could be a time when there is something significant happening as part of your whatever team you're a part of. So say you're a part of a club, there could be something, a peak experience or a peak events happening around this time for you. This could also be a time where there's some news pertaining to your colleagues, the work teams that you're a part of. Or you might find that a project with a team or something is wrapping up within your team. Maybe someone's leaving your team. Maybe for some of you, you're realizing that a friendship has developed. Maybe some of you are deciding to leave behind a friendship. Or maybe there's some friendship drama coming up in your life at this time, Libra. But it feels as though there may be something significant happening when it comes to the people that you're socially connected to. This might also be the realization, though, of a dream or aspiration that is going to require a little bit of creativity on your part. Some of you could be taking a leadership position within a team or within a group, or there could be changes to a leader or authority figure within your groups or teams, because this is happening in the sign of Leo. Libra. So for a lot of you, you may find it quite natural as Libra risings to socialize and connect with people who are in positions of power. Now there is a square coming in from Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Taurus, which for you is your 8th house. And the 8th house is about other people's money and other people's resources. It's also about what it is that you inherit. And sometimes that can be talents, that can be skills, that can be qualities, that can be emotions. So maybe some of you are wanting to use your God-given talents or your God-given benefits to help out with a team, or you maybe feel like you're not getting to use your talents within a team, or you're not getting to bring your unique set of talents or qualities to a team. This may also be a time where there is some sort of expansion going on with your joint finances to somebody else. It could be that your partner's finances are changing, your spouse's finances are changing. You could be getting a loan, you could be getting a mortgage, you could be getting a grant, or your relationship to someone else financially, whether that's the government or whether that's your partner, is maybe changing. There could be something big happening there that's a little dramatic potentially for some of you, and this could be changing your view of the future. This could also be to do with taxes and governmental grants or loans. Perhaps there's something, maybe you're getting a bigger tax bill than you hoped for, and this is maybe changing a plan for the future for you with this happening in the 11th house. Hopefully not. But with Pluto being in your 5th house now, having returned to Aquarius on the 20th of January, this 20-year period for you, Libra, is likely going to coincide with significant changes and transformation when it comes to, for one, your children. So that can be that there's significant change happening in your children's life. If you have them, this can look like them leaving home. This can look like them getting married. This can look like them leaving behind a way of life that you thought that they were always going to stick with. That can be significant changes. There can be some power struggles with kids. For some of you, this can be pregnancies, giving birth with Pluto transiting the 5th house. That's very common as well. And it might just be changing your relationship to creativity and what you do for fun or what you do for pleasure as well, Libra. Can be something that's playing out, and maybe playing out under this full moon in general. Perhaps there's some significant change happening with the child, and this is changing your vision of the future. Maybe your children are leaving for university and you have the house to yourself for the first time, and you're thinking, do you know what, I'm going to go back to golf. I have time to go to golf. Or you've now got spare time to do other things. Six of Swords, some of you may be planning a trip, but I feel like a lot of you are maybe moving on from something, maybe leaving something behind. Maybe you're moving into calmer terrain now that Pluto has left your 4th house. Maybe now you're feeling a little bit more at ease with Pluto in an air sign. And it could be that you're feeling like you can finally leave some rough times behind, having had Pluto transit your 4th house since 2008. Just for your awareness, Pluto will go back into Capricorn from September to November for a very short stay, but will only be going over the 29th degree of Capricorn again. So if you don't have anything at 29 of the cardinals, you might not feel it as much, but it may just be a time to do that final little bit of purging or healing when it comes to your 4th house. Those final changes with home and family matters may be coming up then. But for now, I think a lot of you are feeling maybe a smoother transition into a new period that is potentially a little bit calmer. That's what I have for you, Libra, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So, Scorpio, this is happening at the top of your chart in your 10th house. So this is your career, this is your social status, and this is how you would be defined by your peers. This is how you would be summed up potentially if you went missing. This is kind of how you're defined by the public, defined by society. So for a lot of you, you could find yourself more so on the world stage, in the public stage, or becoming a little bit more of a public figure in your career. For some of you, that may be that you're taking on a leadership position. For others of you, it may be that you're becoming more visible for what it is that you do professionally. For some of you, it may be that an authority figure or a boss is stepping down or leaving your place of work, or it may be that perhaps there's something going on with your parent who is the most well-known, the person that is most, perhaps has more of a public persona or a bigger personality when it comes to your parents in the 10th house. This might also be a time when you're more emotional about these matters, so you could be more emotional about something going on with a parent, which may be linked to partnership, or it could be that perhaps you're feeling more emotionally intense about your job, about your career, about what you want to do for the future, and you're more focusing on it from a heart-centered perspective. You're more thinking, is this true to my heart? Is this next step in career? Is this change in career? Or is this public platform that I'm on, is it true to my heart? And it may be surrounding matters of the heart. Say, for example, you're becoming a heart doctor, or say, for example, it is that you're leading heart-centered meditations. It may focus around the heart, but mostly it is about what is true to you and what you feel is aligned with your soul's path. But for a lot of you, this could be a promotion, this could be a significant step up in the career ladder, or as I say, this could be going more public with what it is that you do, maybe getting a little bit more recognition for what you do as well, or leaving behind a particular way of doing something in your career. This may also be that your title is changing, maybe your job role is changing, maybe you are starting a new job and therefore you're becoming more visible in that workplace, or you're updating your LinkedIn or something like that. The square to Jupiter in your 7th house could bring a little bit of drama when it comes to a business partnership. Perhaps there's a lot going on when it comes to a business relationship, and this is perhaps peaking around this time because you have a vision for the future, or your social status or your career that may clash with theirs, or they may overreact to something that's going on for you professionally. It could also be that perhaps if you're single, you meet someone through your career, and for whatever reason you feel a little bit like this may be something, it may feel a little bit dramatic. So it's kind of giving Meredith Grey meeting Dr. Shepard. Could be a little bit of drama when it comes to your love life and your career if you have a workplace relationship. Or it could be that perhaps you're meeting someone through your career or through being more visible. Or it could be that you're finding it hard to balance the changes in your career with a relationship. It may also be that there's a little bit of a clash of egos between a partner and a parent. And I also feel with Pluto now in your 4th house, it is possible that it is likely that there are going to be significant changes to your family structure, to where you live. There could be secrets come out about your family. There could be secrets come out about your lineage. You could have someone in your family dealing with some kind of crisis. You could have someone in your family leaving the family for whatever reason that may be. This is a 20-year cycle, by the way. This doesn't have to happen under this full moon. But it could just be that you're considering as well from a psychological perspective how the dynamics within your family, or how you were raised, or how you operate at home, how that affects your career. There is a book, and I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's called Workplace Therapy, that digs into how your work relationships and your career dynamics with other people tend to reflect the way that you were raised at home and your relationships to your parents, whether that's a chronic fear of making a mistake, whether that is feeling like you need to explain what you're doing all the time, whether that is becoming avoidant whenever you're called to task for something, whatever it is, you could notice that there's going to be a relationship there between what it is that you want to do professionally and your home, or you may be feeling a little bit of a power struggle between who you've been in the past and who you're becoming for the future, Scorpio, as well. We have the Two of Wands, so I think a lot of you are examining what it is that you want to do next. I do think for some of you, you may find career-wise that you're teaming up with somebody professionally, maybe someone who's quite knowledgeable. Maybe you're meeting a mentor in your career who's going to help you go to where it is that you want to go, or is going to expand your vision for yourself for your future with the square to Jupiter in your 7th, or perhaps you're beginning some kind of new business partnership or even relationship linked to your career or public image. Or perhaps, say for example, some of you are getting married. This is changing your titles to how other people would define you publicly as well, Scorpio. But that is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Sagittarius, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Sagittarius, this is happening in your 9th house. And if you know much about astrology, you know that the 9th house is the Sagittarius house. So for you, this energy may feel quite familiar, even though it is in the sign of Leo. But this is probably bringing your emotional awareness to themes of travel, foreign locations, different destinations, places you want to travel to, people from different countries, people from different backgrounds, your religious faith to you. Similarly, it may be bringing up emotions surrounding religion, surrounding your spiritual viewpoints, your higher awareness, your connection to the divine. It may also be that perhaps it's bringing up themes about your higher education, your degree, your master's, what you're studying, and just knowledge in general. Sometimes with 9th house full moons, we can find ourselves encountering a book that we can't put down, or wanting to learn everything that we can about a subject or a topic. So for some of you, if you're in college or you're in university, you might find yourself studying a lot under this full moon. Maybe you have an exam. Maybe some of you are graduating. But it feels as though if you're in a time of higher education, this may be a time when your emotions peak. So maybe you're feeling a little bit frustrated about college, about uni, about studying, or something like that. For others of you, you may be planning to travel, or you may be taking an actual trip. Some of you, if you're engaged with a legal matter, it may be coming to a head around the time of this full moon as well. Some of you may be getting published if you're writing a book, or you might be getting some kind of news from a foreign location, country, or someone who comes from a different country. So these are all different things that can be going on for you, Sagittarius, at this time of the full moon. It is coming into a square with your ruler Jupiter transiting your 6th house. So Jupiter going through the 6th house, you've been encountering themes surrounding your everyday routine and how you want to expand those, getting joy from your day-to-day routine, getting joy from your schedule. So for whatever reason, something could have changed in your day-to-day life that brings you more joy, that brings you more enjoyment. Or you might be wanting to learn more in your everyday routine. So read a book a week, or reading a book a month, or learning a new subject, or learning a new language. Some of you could be getting a lot more knowledge and awareness when it comes to what you eat, your wellness, your routines. These could be things that bring you joy, or things that bring you expansion. But perhaps you're noticing under this full moon that you would really like to be traveling more, or you would really like to be increasing that knowledge. I think for a lot of you, this one does seem to center around your feelings about knowledge and higher learning, and what it is that you can really immerse yourself in to feel a bit more emotionally fulfilled. Because as a Sagittarius, you find that gaining knowledge is very important to you. So you could find yourself teaching under this full moon. You could find yourself going to a class, going to a seminar, or wanting to really bury yourself in a new topic that is exciting to you. Or again, you could be having some kind of news or a peak emotional experience pertaining to someone from a different culture, pertaining to someone from a different country, or news coming in from a different country, or actually traveling yourself or planning a trip. Sagittarius. Now, the full moon is going to be opposite Pluto, which has recently entered Aquarius. For you, that is your 3rd house, and this can mean that in the next 20 years or so, you find great changes occurring when it comes to your siblings, when it comes to your cousins, when it comes to your neighborhood, your neighbors, your immediate environment. These are all things that are subject to change, and maybe even your mental health and the way that you think are likely to change very substantially. Then under this full moon, you may be considering making some changes there, or there could be changes there that are in turn influencing how you feel about maybe traveling somewhere, taking a trip. Maybe you have a sibling that's moved to a different country and you're going to go visit them. Maybe you have learned about a new topic and you're thinking, I want to take this further and study it for university. Or maybe you've caught the travel bug and you think, I need to shake things up a little bit. Sagittarius, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So whatever it is that you're doing, you may be doing it slowly, or if you're waiting for news, it may be coming in slowly. This is about slow and steady progress. And I think for a lot of you, with Pluto getting out of, although it will return from September to November of this year for the last time, Pluto getting out of your second house of money and finances, you may notice that you feel a little bit more secure financially and a little bit less fearful when it comes to your money, or money matters may be instantly improving somewhat. Now, I'm not saying that Pluto going through the second is always a bad thing. Pluto in the second house is usually where we see millionaires, billionaires, people who amass great amounts of money, also people who lose great amounts of money. But it is a place where you may feel a little bit more fearful of money, or a little bit more fearful of financial changes, or having to face some fears financially, which can benefit you in the long run. But the Knight of Pentacles is saying things may be improving for you financially, Sagittarius, for whatever reason. Maybe you've recently got a pay rise, maybe you've recently got a promotion, but you may notice a little bit of positive movement financially, even if it is slow to come in. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Capricorn, Pluto is now out of your sign for now. Pluto is going to go back into your sign from September to November, but only to cover the last degree of Capricorn and only for a very short stint to wrap up the end of the Pluto and Capricorn cycle, which has been occurring since 2008. Now for you, Pluto going through your first house, or if you're a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn moon transiting either of those placements, may have been an incredibly, in fact, likely was an incredibly intense period of transformation for you. Having a lot of Capricorn risings in my life, I have noticed extreme changes in their life since 2008, whether that is that they conquered an addiction, whether it is that they started going to therapy, very extensive therapy. I've seen Capricorn risings go through periods in institutions. I've seen Capricorn risings go through crises in their family. I've seen them go through complete changes in identity. You know, for example, going from drug addict to spiritual guru, you know, all sorts of changes that I can think of Capricorn risings in my own life, and also ones I've observed in terms of celebrity. But I have found that with Capricorn risings, the change has been so incredibly profound and intense. You may feel a little bit like with Pluto going out of your sign that you're getting a bit of a breather. You maybe feel instantly a little bit lighter. And that being said, by pure cosmic coincidence, this full moon is happening in your 8th house, and the 8th house is actually associated with Pluto. So the feelings are not totally gone. You might actually feel a final rush of emotion come up with this full moon in the 8th house. Because the full moon in the 8th house tends to be a time where we become a little bit more aware of our own psychology or the psychology of others around us, whether that is that we go on a deep dive of a particular topic psychologically. For some, that can be astrology. You can be diving into a birth chart, diving into your own natal birth chart, getting an astrology reading. But for whatever it's worth, Capricorn, I think a lot of you are really intent under this full moon on changing something and making a profound change that is not going to be undone, something that's absolute. So once you see it, or once you know it, or once you change it, it can't be undone. And that can be learning something about yourself or about someone else that can change the way that you feel or think about the person. It can be perhaps something that's happening totally internally about yourself. And for some of you, it's not psychological or emotional at all. It can actually be about your financial relationship to a spouse, to a partner. Maybe your partner's finances are changing or fluctuating under this full moon, and that's affecting you directly. This can be a loan, a grant, a mortgage. These themes could be playing out, taxes, other people's money and resources. But this can also be the emotional inheritance that you get from your parents, from your family, from your lineage, and you might be more aware of these types of things in whatever way that that plays out for you, Capricorn. Now, with Pluto now in your 2nd house, you may find that over the next 20 years, there will be significant financial changes for you. with Pluto going through there, and you may be finding yourself more aware of your psychological or shadow relationship to money and finances. So do pay attention if you have anything in your chart of your second house of Aquarius. Do pay attention if you have anything there, because Pluto is probably going to bring out that theme of that planet in terms of your money and your resources. The square to Jupiter is quite cute because Jupiter's transiting your 5th house. So it feels like for a lot of you, the growth and the joy is probably happening for you when it comes to children, your children, maybe pregnancies. When it comes to your love life, dating, romance, there can be a lot of joy and a lot of blessings there. And at the very least, if it's not a blessing, it's a lesson with Jupiter. Some of you might also be more aware of or putting out your creative talents with Jupiter there, maybe expanding your talents and your hobbies and having a lot of fun with those. But the clash between that and the full moon is saying that perhaps you maybe have a child that is going through you might have a child that's going through a challenging time for some of you. If you do have that, you're already aware of it. It might come to a peak at this full moon. Say you have a child that is going through something psychologically or a challenging experience in school. It might peak around the time of this full moon. You may notice patterns between your own mindset, your own emotional health or well-being, or your family lineage and your children. That might be coming up for awareness, what they inherit from you. Even if that's challenging, you might be addressing your relationship to having children, whether you want to have children or not. You might also be becoming aware of romantically what patterns are playing out in your dating life as well, Leo, and how that is something that you would maybe like to change. Maybe you're tired of dating the same type of person or running into the same reason for ending a relationship over and over. Or perhaps some of you are really noticing where you could heal something through art therapy or music therapy, or you want to maybe look a little bit deeper into those type of things under this full moon. We do have the 5 of Wands for you, Capricorn. So I feel like there could be something a little bit challenging, or you might be noticing yourself being a bit more irritable or a bit more angry under this full moon. Full moons in the 8th tend to bring up what's already there. So it would be anger that would be suppressed, or maybe you're wanting to go to your rage room. Maybe you're wanting to do axe throwing or jousting or something where you can release a bit of anger in a healthy way, or you can indulge in a little bit of competition, Capricorn, to get some excess energy out under this full moon. You may find that certain challenging emotions are coming up for you to release them in a safe and healthy way for you. But that is what I have for you, Capricorn, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Aquarius, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So this can be your spouse, this can be your significant other, this can be a business partner, this can be someone that you have a legal relationship with as well. So these are areas that are being highlighted. And full moons are times where our emotions come to the surface. So this may be that your feelings are becoming clear about a relationship, or there is a peak emotional experience that is happening around the time of this full moon. So that can be for some of you, maybe you're getting engaged, maybe you're getting married, maybe you're getting divorced, maybe you're getting separated, or maybe something is coming out about a partner. Maybe they have something to share with you, Aquarius, or you have something to share with them as well. Don't get too worried about that because it doesn't have to be negative. I actually feel for a lot of you with Pluto now in your sign, the change may be coming from you potentially, and that could affect the relationship. But I feel with this full moon, it is highlighting your relationships in a way that perhaps you're understanding your feelings better, or you're understanding the feelings of your partner better within the relationship. Now, if you're single, it could actually be that you do meet somebody under this full moon, or it could be that perhaps you're becoming more aware of your feelings relating to your previous relationships or past relationships. Maybe you're doing a bit of an inventory and noticing some patterns, because this full moon is opposite Pluto in your sign. So Pluto now being in your sign is going to be incredibly profound for you, Aquarius. I will say without a shadow of a doubt, this transit will change your life completely. All you have to do is look up Capricorn rising celebrities and observe how much they have changed and transformed since 2008. And obviously that's a long period of time, everyone transforms, but you notice the most profound changes happen with people where Pluto transits their first house, because they become more themselves, they become more aware of who they are, for better or for worse, and they undergo significant changes personally. And sometimes that does happen through crises, but sometimes it comes from a place of wanting to be totally authentic and honest with themselves too. And that is what Pluto demands. So I think for a lot of you, maybe you're becoming more aware of who you truly are, and this may in fact change what you want or expect from relationships going forward. Or this could be that perhaps you're becoming more aware of some patterns that you have. Say, for example, you're working with a therapist and you discover you have a particular attachment style and you start to work through it, then you start to have different relationships. The first house and the seventh house are linked. So when you change, this changes either your relationship or the type of relationship that you engage with. This might also be affecting a business partnership where you're changing profoundly and therefore this is maybe not aligning with them anymore, or you're not aligning with them anymore. And so these changes play out. It's interchangeable basically. But this is coming up as a full moon in your relationship sector. This is the first Aquarius season that has Pluto with co-presence here. You have not had Pluto in your sign coinciding with your season ever in your lifetime. This is something that is totally new, so be graceful with yourself as you navigate it. Be patient with yourself as you change and the world around you changes as well. And notice where you could be a little bit more authentic. Maybe you are masking a lot. Maybe you're holding back how you truly feel a lot. Or maybe you are isolating yourself to avoid being rejected. Whatever it is, these are just examples. I'm not saying they have to be how it plays out for you, Aquarius. But this is going to demand over the next 20 years utter authenticity. And this season may give you a little bit of a clue as to what direction you want to go in first there. Pluto brings significant changes, but a lot of these changes when it goes through the first house can be changes that you make, that you feel powerful enough to make, you feel empowered to make. So you're probably making these changes from an empowered state. And this can affect your relationship. So maybe, you know, you're deciding that you are changing the type of person you're attracted to because of the work that you're doing internally. Or perhaps you're deciding that you have a really important goal that you want to achieve and you're having to tell your partner about it and see what they feel, see what they think. Or perhaps you're entering a relationship and this relationship is going to in some way impact how you feel about yourself. Maybe you're actually going to start loving yourself more because you meet someone who brings that energy out of you. Whatever it is, Aquarius. I also think that perhaps with the square to Jupiter in your fourth house, if you're in a relationship, you might be moving in together, you might be expanding your home, you might be buying a home together, and this could be peaking around the time of this full moon. There could be, you could want to maybe expand your home, or you could be moving geographically because of a relationship. With Jupiter in the fourth house, you could maybe be entering a long distance relationship, or you could be, as I say, changing where you live because of a partner's job or career, or a partner living somewhere else. You could change your home completely. Or you could be expanding your home and it could be a little stressful and that could be impacting the relationship. Or you could be buying a home and fall in love with your realtor. Very selling sunset, I think. But whatever it is, Aquarius, that could be something that's coming up for you under this full moon. Okay, you actually got two cards, which is very appropriate because Pluto is now in your sign, but you got the Strength card and the Nine of Pentacles. I think a lot of you are actually going to be wanting right off the bat, Aquarius, to step into a more empowered place of confidence, of self-worth, of being more compassionate and patient with yourself. And you may find under this full moon that if you're in a relationship, maybe your partner is getting a promotion or they're doing better for themselves, or they're commenting on how you seem to be a little bit more authentic, or you seem to be a little bit more confident than usual. Because this to me looks like a very confident pair where you are facing adversity and changes in circumstances in a very graceful and confident manner. And maybe that's attracting the attention of people around you. And that's what I have for you, Aquarius, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Pisces, this very dramatic and over-the-top full moon is actually happening in the most humdrum sector of your chart. It is happening in the 6th house, and this is to do with your health and wellness, your diet, your nutrition, your exercise, your personal daily habits, your routines. And it's also to do with your services, where you're of service to others, where you help others. And it is also your daily work, your employees or your colleagues perhaps, your duty and your service. So it's a very domestic part of your chart, and this means that the full moon can bring a little bit of drama to these areas. So whether that is that there is some workplace drama going on, your colleagues may suddenly be turning up to the office dressed to the nines, or there could be some workplace drama, there could be some changes going on when it comes to people you work with. So maybe an employee is handing in their notice, maybe someone you work with is leaving. Obviously this is a sign of Leo, so that can be someone in a leadership position, or there's notable change happening in your office. And it can actually be that there's some dramatic news or gossip in the workplace with the square to Jupiter in your 3rd house. But it may also be around this time that you're finally kicking a habit or making some sort of change to your health and wellness routine, whether that is that you're going to take up strength training, because Leo is associated with strength, whether that is that you're going to be giving up smoking, whether it is that you're going to be changing what you eat, maybe you're becoming more conscious of what you eat and how that affects your body, different levels of nutrition. And perhaps you might also be changing your diet in some way, shape or form to improve your hair, as this is associated with Leo, and Leo is the mane in the zodiac. So it may be that you're actually taking some sort of vitamins and you're noticing how it improves your hair quality, or it may be that perhaps you're changing up your hair care routine, or it may just be that you're joining a gym or you're leaving a gym, or there's some sort of significant shift happening when it comes to your health and wellness. And the 6th house does associate itself with gyms, so maybe if you're a regular in a particular health and fitness facility, you might notice some of your favorite staff are leaving, or you might notice new members of staff, or it might also be that the restaurants that you frequent, the places that you go to where you know the servers, there could be something happening there, some sort of change happening there as well. And you might just notice that you want to shake up your routine a little bit, maybe add a little bit of drama to it, a little bit of flair to it, make it a bit more romantic, romance your daily life, romancing the little things, whether that is that you're lighting a scented candle as you get ready, whether that is that you're putting flowers on your food, whatever it is. I think you're adding a little bit of flair and romance and a little bit of drama into your daily routines, your daily domestic routines. But with the square to Jupiter in your 3rd, so this is for you expanding your knowledge. You could be teaching somebody something in the workplace. You could be signing up for training. You could be signing up to demonstrate or present something in your workplace, to share your knowledge, to share your skills. You might also find that you want to incorporate more writing into your daily routine, journaling into your daily routine. You might want to read more. In your day-to-day life, you might want to learn more healthy habits. You could be reading a book like Atomic Habits or something like that at this time, Pisces, something that's going to give you some knowledge as to how you want to best maximize and operate your daily routines. But you could encounter some drama in very humdrum or mundane circumstances. So that can be, say, you go to your favorite restaurant that you go to a lot, and all of a sudden there is a huge uproar in the restaurant itself. You might notice some drama taking place, or perhaps you go to the gym and you notice someone being very heated in what it is that they're doing. Just something a little bit out of the ordinary dramatic could be occurring for you, Pisces. Now, Pluto has recently re-entered Aquarius, which for you is your 12th house. So I can imagine there's a little bit of uncertainty as to how this might play out for you. The 12th house is not visible from the ascendant, so it's very hidden and very behind the scenes. You're more likely to notice that these changes are happening internally for you with Pluto going through the 12th. You could probably be addressing some baggage, some unconscious patterns, some behavioral patterns. You might decide that you want to go on retreats during this period. You might be wanting to spend some time alone in a soul-searching capacity. So whether it is that you decide that you want to volunteer to go do silence with the monks, or whether it is that you want to take a solo trip to somewhere quite spiritual, or whether it is that you want to finally address some limiting beliefs, some self-sabotaging habits that you have, Pisces, this feels like a time when you're really going to be dropping the baggage and doing a lot of healing. Try not to fear it too much. It does feel incredibly internal for you rather than external, but you may notice where you have some hidden enemies, and they usually do turn out to be things inside of you, you know, where you maybe ignored your intuition, where you maybe limit yourself, where you maybe hold yourself back, Pisces, in terms of your thoughts, or maybe even your belief systems, because Pluto is the modern ruler of your 12th house, 9th house, sorry. So wherever, you know, your beliefs are, Pluto is there, and you may find that you need to radically change your belief systems in order to heal, or you may find that healing actually changes your belief systems. So this will be a very internalized 20-year period for you, where a lot of the dramatic changes are happening on the internal. And you could realize with this Aquarius season, that some of the things that you need to let go of, some of the baggage you need to address, some of the unconscious patterns or behaviors that you need to see to may come up in the form of dreams. I would say for you, generally, Pisces, you're usually a very psychic, intuitive sign. Prepare for that to increase to the point you may have dreams that are premonitions, you may have a lot of visitations, you may discover mediumship, you may have very vivid symbolism, and your dreams may be more important to you at night than they usually are. Similarly, you may notice the link between your mental state and your sleep state. And as a Pisces placement, you probably find, whether it's your sun, your moon, or your rising, your quality of sleep really determines your mental health quite significantly. So you may be changing up how you sleep. That could be that you're finally buying a new bed, Pisces, a new mattress, a new something that just changes the way that you sleep, the quality of sleep that you get with Pluto being there. And Aquarius season for you this year is a little bit more introverted and introspective than usual. It usually is. But you're probably going to want to do some digging. You might notice some threads that you want to pull on when it comes to your healing journey. And I have to say, as a Pisces rising myself, born in the 90s, most of my life has had one of the outer planets in my 12th house. Not long after I was born, obviously I was born during Saturn in Aquarius, so Saturn in Aquarius, well, that might not be obvious to you, it's obvious to me. Saturn in Aquarius is in my 12th house, and Uranus transited the 12th house, Neptune transited the 12th house, Saturn went in there again, Jupiter's been there 3 times, now Pluto for 20 years of my lifetime. I will say, and you will have experienced this too as a Pisces rising, but for most of my life, there has been a planet in the 12th house, and I think a lot of it has really shaped who I am in terms of my deeper understanding of human nature, psychic intuition, all the things that are hidden. They do play a big part in your life when you have 12th house transits. So lean into those with curiosity. Lean into them as places where you can grow. Lean into them as places you can develop and be open to healing. You're the sign associated with the 12th house, so it's very true to who you are, Pisces. To do this type of introspection and to do this type of healing work with yourself and to really lean into your intuition. And this Aquarius season is really going to heighten that, and you may find your dreams are alerting you to something that you need to deal with internally, whether that is that you need to start seeing a therapist for it or a shaman for it, or you want to do some inner mechanics, basically. You want to do some inner healing, Pisces. Let's get you a card. High Priestess, how perfect. The hidden realms, psychic intuition, following your intuition, looking into the mysteries, looking into the occult, trusting your intuition and intuitive hunches this season, Pisces. You may also be dealing with another Pisces person. We also have the Death card, so I think a lot of you are probably looking inward and you're really feeling very self-reflective and you're probably ready to let something go. Your intuition may have been nudging you this direction for quite a while. Whether that's that you want to stop eating a certain food, whether you want to quit smoking, whether you want to change the way that you think, whether you want to perhaps process something that you've not been willing to look at until now, or whether you're just becoming a little bit more intuitive. This may very well be your first time in an astrology video, I don't know, but it feels as though you could be really more engaged with the occult, with mysteries, with what's hidden, what you can feel but not necessarily see. And that may also be within the realms of science, but I feel like for a lot of you, you're probably very much leading with your intuition, at least under this full moon in this Aquarius season. But Pisces, that's what I have for you. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey Aries, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Aries, this is happening in your 5th house. It is likely of all the signs that you're most likely to be going to a party or some sort of fun social event at this time. Aries, this is the time to have a bit of fun. You might overdo it. You might go to a party, you might eat too much to the point your belly hurts, you might drink too much to the point you make a scene and embarrass yourself, but you could still have a lot of fun, and you don't have to take it that far. I'm just letting you know that there's astrological potential for you to absolutely take it that far. Do with that information what you will. But this 5th house full moon for you, one of the things that I experienced with the last full moon in my 5th house was the full moon in Cancer. It was at the end of December. And one of the things that I did was I went to this ecstatic dance. And for those of you that are not familiar, it is kind of a spiritual experience. You go along to a dance and they play rave music and you don't talk to other people, but you dance whatever way that you want to. You listen to the music, you feel through the music, and it is quite a spiritual experience, but it's very much productive for channeling your inner child. I mean, some people that do the dances, they will stomp, they'll do ballet, they'll do twirls. You know, it's just kind of about releasing your inner child in a way that is fun and playful, and it's a good time, but it feels kind of healing at the same time. That's what the full moon in the 5th house is. So maybe you want to absolutely belt it out at karaoke. Maybe you want to go to a dance. Maybe you want to go on a date with someone who's exceptionally extroverted. Whatever it is, Aries, you're probably going to be wanting to have a lot of fun at this time. You might overdo it, I will say. The square to Jupiter in your 2nd house kind of means, for most of you, that if you go to a party, you might be the one that's saying, I'll get the rounds in, and then you realize you've spent 100 quid in a night on rounds and you don't know where your money went the next day. Or it could be that perhaps you're spending a lot of money on, say you want to take up painting, you want to release your inner child and heal your inner child by painting. You might spend a lot of money on the best paints, the best brushes. You might also find that you're just investing more money into your creative hobbies or talents, and you might spend a little bit more than you mean to. For some of you, you could absolutely find out that you're expecting at this time, or you could be deciding that it's time to conceive, because the 5th house is associated with pregnancy. Similarly, this can also be that perhaps there's something going on with your children if you have them. They might be acting up a little bit, or they might be in the school play, or they might be feeling a little bit more dramatic than usual. So it might not just be you that's making a scene, Aries. I feel like everybody under this full moon has the potential to make a scene, but for you, it may be creatively, it may be at a party. This can be great because the 2nd house is also associated with our talents and skills, so you may be demonstrating your talents and you could feel very confident to do so. You could feel very comfortable being center stage at this time, Aries, with this full moon in the 5th house. Or if you are a teacher, you might find that you are perhaps getting some sort of opportunity to teach the children something that you're really passionate about, maybe a skill that you have. Maybe that's the recorder, because I remember learning the recorder when I was in primary school. But I feel like for a lot of you, this is a fun one, even if it can absolutely be overdone, but it is a fun one all the same. There is an opposition to Pluto that has recently entered your 11th house, and I think for a lot of you, having just gone through this transit myself since 2008, Pluto going through the 11th house can bring up a lot of really interesting people that you connect to socially. So you can connect to people with a lot of power, with a lot of influence. You can also find yourself going through power struggles with friendships, where you might have a friend who tries to control you. You might have a friend who tries to influence you a lot, or you might actually have a friend who is secretly psychologically triggered by you, and this may play out in a power struggle. It may also be that perhaps for some of you, you could get some social media clout or social media fame with Pluto going through the 11th house, or you could dramatically change what it is that you want for the future. Your vision of the future can change in an instant. You can also find that perhaps you leave behind friendships that you don't see a future with anymore because of the changes that are going on within your friendship circle. You might also connect to groups of people that are very powerful, or perhaps groups of people who are, you know, maybe kind of Plutonian in nature. So they can be some, you know, mystics, occultists, psychologists. You can connect to people like that as well, Aries. But perhaps under this full moon, you're realizing who you have fun with friendship-wise, who you're creatively aligned with, what goals you're creatively aligned with. And you could be maybe making changes because of these things with the full moon in the 5th house. We have the 5 of Cups. So I think for a lot of you, this is kind of about your perspective on emotional matters. Maybe for some of you, you're deciding you don't want to date somebody anymore because it's not going to work out. It's not aligned with the future. Maybe for some of you, you're mourning a love relationship that you were in and are no longer in. Perhaps for some of you, you are sad about missed opportunities. But with the 5 of Cups, the reminder is always that if he just turns around, he would notice that there's still 2 cups standing. So you may find under this full moon, if you're dating, for example, that something might not work out, but there might just as easily be another option out there, someone that you could connect with maybe a bit more authentically. Or perhaps you're moving out of a friendship group and you find that distancing yourself from a friendship group is actually going to lead you towards a new relationship or friendships that are more compatible. The Five of Cups is always about perspective, Aries. But that is what I have for you. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey Taurus, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Taurus, this is happening at the bottom of your chart. This is your 4th house. So this can bring up emotions and matters surrounding your physical abode. This can bring up emotions, heightened emotions and intensity surrounding your family or members of your family, or even your roommates. This can also be where maybe you find yourself moving, you find yourself purchasing a property, selling a property. You may also have somebody moving out of your home or somebody moving into your home, but it brings this into your focus, Leo. And this can also be about the past. You could be feeling a certain way about the past experiences. Maybe you're feeling a bit nostalgic. Maybe you're remembering things that you had forgotten because this is in opposition to Pluto. So there could be something coming up with your parents as well. Pluto is now back into your 10th house. It did a short stint in your 10th house last year from March to July. So think back to that time period. When you think about your goals, when you think about your career, what was changing around this time? What new path were you aligning with? What changes were you aligning with professionally or in terms of your goals for yourself or how you're known to other people, Taurus? You may find with Pluto opposing this full moon that when it comes to your changes that you want to make career-wise, or the title changes that you're experiencing, or maybe you're finding yourself nudging yourself closer to something more aligned with you career-wise or in terms of your soul's path, you may find that it is drudging up feelings within your family or memories from the past surrounding your family. So maybe you're finally deciding that you want to follow maybe you're making a career change to follow what one of your parents did, and you had lost a parent and now you're missing them. Or maybe you're finding that you're wanting to align with a career path that is more authentic with you and your family doesn't understand. So this can make you feel all kinds of ways, because it doesn't have to be as heavy as that, by the way. It can just simply be that maybe because you're making a career change, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to find a new home, a new residence. Maybe some of you are selling a home or leaving somewhere you've lived for a long time. And as your career changes, you're thinking, right, well, I'm going to have to move here instead. You know, maybe you're thinking, I'm going to have to move to Los Angeles if I want to make this acting thing work, for example. Just to throw out examples, obviously there's so many different ways these can play out astrologically depending on your chart, but examples sometimes help us to frame the themes a little bit better. So I'm not saying by any means that has to go that specific way for you. But maybe you're finding that whatever is occurring, home-wise, family-wise, you're feeling quite big emotions about it because Jupiter is in your 1st house and it's squaring this full moon. So you might have a big emotional reaction to something that's going on at home. Or you may find that you have outgrown the home that you're in. You maybe feel like you have grown and developed and you're ready to leave. For some of you, maybe you're leaving the family home because you're pursuing higher education. Maybe for some of you, you're ready to move because you want to experience a different culture, a different climate even. I just feel like for a lot of you, Taurus, maybe you're feeling more aligned with something very different because of how you've grown so much. And it might actually be aligning you with a new relationship with the 2 of Cups popping out there. So maybe for some of you, you are getting together with someone. Maybe you're moving in with a partner. Maybe you're connecting with someone on a personal level that you feel very compatible with. Or maybe you are aligning with someone in terms of your career. This feels like a relationship. It could be a relationship of any kind. It can be romantic, platonic, business connection. But I feel like with the 4 of Pentacles underneath, try not to play small in relationships because it will backfire. With Jupiter in your 1st house, you kind of have to embrace being, taking up space, basically, Taurus. But that's what I have for you. Hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So, Gemini, this is happening in your 3rd house, and this is your local neighborhood. This is familiar territory to you. This is your siblings, your neighbors, your extended family. So that can be aunts, uncles, cousins. It can also be a short trip. It can be your car, the way that you transport or move around. It can be early education, and it can be paperwork that you're doing. So this can also be significant news. But basically, these are the areas that are likely going to be experiencing, where you're going to be experiencing peak emotions. Some of you, it's a short distance trip that you're taking where maybe you're feeling quite excited to do it. I feel like with the square to Jupiter in your 12th house, maybe you're wanting to take a short trip alone. I also feel like for a lot of you, if this is a new car or a new vehicle that you're getting, or something's coming up with a car, just be mindful, Gemini, that it may actually cost, there may be hidden costs involved because this is squaring Jupiter in the 12th. So there might be bigger expenses than you anticipated. There might be more money that you have to spend on it. You do have a second house ruled by the moon, and therefore, Gemini, you do have fluctuating finances at times. And with this full moon squaring Jupiter and being in your third, I do feel for those of you buying a car or having something done in your car, there could be hidden expenses that you have to take care of. It might also be that if you're taking a short trip, there could be hidden expenses that you're going to have to take care of too, so just bear that in mind. Or it might be that if there's something coming up with a sibling, with a neighbor, with a cousin, with an aunt, with an uncle, there could be something unknown factoring in. A secret could be revealed or something that you didn't necessarily anticipate from someone in your personal life, Gemini. It might also be that your emotions are running high regarding neighbors and something going on with them, something that they're doing. I feel like for a lot of you, it's an opportunity though to lean into the spiritual awareness and knowledge that you have been growing over the last year. With Jupiter going into your 12th house in May of last year, you may have experienced profound growth and a shift in perspective or belief systems when it comes to what has been let go of in your life, what you've had to lose, who you've lost, where you've experienced deep emotional pain at times as well, or where you have just simply been growing spiritually and feeling a little bit more connected to the divine, maybe feeling a little bit more connected to your spiritual side. This is a chance to flex that growth in the midst of a little bit of neighborhood drama, or drama with friends, or drama with siblings, or drama with a car. I always find Gemini risings tend to have, and obviously there's exceptions to the rule, but I've yet to meet one who does not have a very flashy car, because you have a Leo third house. And I often find that that is where Gemini risings will invest most of their money, into a flashy car. So if you are getting a new car at this time, just bear in mind there may be hidden expenses that you didn't know about. Some of you might also find yourself very engaged in learning something new. You could be studying for exams that maybe surround, or just studying for interest, topics that are quite hidden, you know, things like medicine, things like hospitals, criminology, prisons. You could be finding yourself very interested in those themes because Jupiter is going through your 12th house and is squaring this full moon. You could get into a bit of a heated debate with someone in your neighborhood, Gemini, getting into a bit of a heated debate with someone in your neighborhood about those topics. It's also worth mentioning for you, Gemini, that Pluto is now in your 9th house. So your belief systems and your views in the world are subject to change over the next 20 years. I know that that's a long time, but you'll notice those themes play out in February. You may feel like it's now or never when it comes to taking a trip. You may find that it is now or never when it comes to traveling or learning something or studying something new. Maybe it's going to be the time you go back to uni, go back to school. This might be the time that you take that big trip that you've always wanted to take. You might find yourself more inclined to have profound experiences that change you through people from different cultures or backgrounds, or through traveling to different cultures, getting culture shocks basically with Pluto going through the 9th. Two of Swords was your card, and underneath we have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is associated with our belief systems, traditional religion, spiritual topics, moral convictions. These are all things that are going to be heightened for you in Aquarius season. And they may be things, as I say, that you are debating with someone in your neighborhood, or a sibling, or someone who is familiar to you for whatever reason. They could be topics of discussion, and you may find yourself coming to a bit of an impasse with people over different spiritual topics, religious topics, moral convictions, politics, that kind of thing. So that might be something that's being a source of drama for you at the time of this full moon, Gemini. That's what I have for you. Hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Cancer, this full moon is happening in your second house, and this is all about your money, your finances, and your personal resources, whether that is material, whether that is anything that you claim to be your own, your property, your personal property, your possessions in general in a material sense, but also on a spiritual or emotional sense, maybe your talents, maybe what makes you you, what gives you self-esteem, what you attach your self-esteem to, your value system and things like that as well. And also the concept in general of security, both financially and emotionally. So these are areas where you may feel more emotional, Cancer. You're ruled by the moon, but you may be experiencing heightened emotions surrounding these topics. So maybe, for example, you're feeling a certain kind of way about your money or your finances. Maybe you're feeling a certain kind of way about your financial habits and you're ready to let some of them go or make some changes. You could be making a luxury purchase at the time of this full moon, Cancer, because you do have a Leo second house. So maybe you're making a grand financial gesture for yourself, something that could be kind of flashy or something that could be kind of showy. That's not for all of you, but you could be making a dramatic purchase, something that surprises people or something that feels kind of loud, really. And it could also be that perhaps you're gaining more confidence in your finances. Maybe you're making more money because of your talents. Maybe you're making more money through things that make you you. I will say, Cancer, one of the things that seems to come up with this Leo full moon for you is that it is in a square to Jupiter, which means that when we're talking about money, it's probably quite big. So it could be that maybe you're suddenly making more than you were making this time last month, or it could be that you're suddenly spending a lot of money on something. But with Jupiter going through your 11th house, the blessings and expansion in your life comes through groups of people, comes through teams, comes through soul family, soul tribe, groups, teams, networks, social media. You could be making money by putting your talents on social media or presenting your talents to a group of people, something that is quite community based. And I think for a lot of you, this is where you're getting your confidence and your encouragement. It could be coming from friends, it could be coming from a group, it could be coming from a particular society. Some of you might also be making a sizable donation to charity, or it could be that perhaps you are volunteering your habits to charity, because sometimes charities and organizations, they actually require the skills that you have more than they require your money. So where you can put your knowledge to the fore, say for example you're a lawyer and you can benefit a charity by devoting some of your hours to them by helping them out legally rather than being paid for it, for example, or by donating money. So it might be that you're doing something like that, but I feel like you're getting maybe a bit of a confidence boost. You may, I have to say, have the tendency to be a little too confident when it comes to spending, or you might be a little bit cocky when it comes to your talents. And I don't mean that in a sense that you shouldn't be. It's just that the stars are kind of suggesting overdoing it in some way, shape, or form. So maybe you're spending too much money at a social event. Maybe you are buying something that is well out of your price range, or something like that, Cancer. Or maybe you just have to check in and see if you're spending this money for you or to impress people with the 11th house Jupiter. But it does feel like a lot of you could get a bit of a confidence boost and a self-esteem boost when it comes to what it is that you have to offer. The opposition to Pluto. So Pluto is now for you, Cancer, in your 8th house. It has left your partnership sector. It will do a little bit of a rendezvous there from September to November. But Pluto is now in your 8th house, and this is the house actually that Pluto rules, the 8th house. So it feels like for a lot of you, this is going to be a 20-year period where you have profound moments of shadow work, understanding psychology, understanding astrology, shamanism, the occult could be more interests of you. Your financial relationships to others are likely going to go through periods of profound change. That could look like something as simple as getting married to somebody who has a lot of power and prestige, and that changes your financial situation for some of you. That can also be leaving a relationship and having your financial system completely changed. Say you've been with the same person for 40 years and you suddenly leave and you're out on your own. That can be a profound change in terms of your finances too. Again, these are just examples. They don't have to be how it plays out for you. Everyone's birth chart is different. I just think sometimes to demonstrate the astrology, it's easier to give examples. But for a lot of you, it will be very different. It just looks like profound change when it comes to joint financial relationships. And the money that you receive from other people. but also in terms of your personal psychology. And you will go through periods of letting go. You will go through periods of releasing. You will go through periods of death and rebirth cycles, and you will feel like a very new person by the end of it. And obviously that's 20 years from now. So keep a higher vibration when it comes to the way you want to change and transform, Cancer. But I do feel for a lot of you, this full moon is shining a light for sure on your finances in general and your relationship to money, and where you may have fears or reservations about merging with other people, whether that is financially or whether that is intimately, because Pluto going through the 8th house can also transform your intimate life and your relationship to intimacy, vulnerability with another person. But this full moon is casting a light on your finances. So expect some sort of peak emotional experience when it comes to the money that you make, or the money that you spend. And let's draw you a card, Cancer. So we've got 4 of Pentacles. Okay. And underneath that we have the Queen of Cups. So I think for a lot of you, you're probably thinking under this full moon, I need to save. And maybe after what I've just said, you're thinking, maybe I should just hold on to my money a little bit with this full moon in the 2nd house. I think a lot of you are craving stability, and this full moon is going to show you whether you feel financially and emotionally secure or not. It's going to perhaps dramatically emphasize where you're maybe feeling a little bit insecure or unstable, and you're maybe going to take steps to change that. I do feel like it may for a lot of you be emotional with the Queen of Cups underneath, but for some of you, it could just simply be that you're ready to maybe open up a little bit more emotionally and share what you have with others too. That's what I have for you, Cancer, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.